Howdy, y'all. I bet you're wondering why I'm wearing this sweet looking cowboy hat. Well, today we'll be introducing the Texas rig. And how's that saying go? When in Rome? Or Texas, I guess in this case. So stick around and find out, because we're starting right now. Yeah! Before we get started, I hope you don't mind I change into something a little more comfortable. There we go. Hey you, this is me, A.D. Ross with Novi Outdoors, where we provide tips, tactics, and techniques for beginners who seek to make waves, blaze new trails, and become more efficient in the great outdoors. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Oh, and please note here that all of the products that are discussed in this video will be listed down there in the description. Now, when it comes to bass fishing, there's a few things you're going to need to know, and the Texas rig is one of them. And the gear you'll need to throw together a Texas rig is actually pretty simple. Heck, I even came up with a little ditty to help us novices remember, and it goes a little something like this: line, weight, hook, and bait. Since this ain't your typical rig and run programming, I'm going to let you know some of the history before we go ahead and tie something on and discuss specifics. For those of you that don't want to hear this, I've gone ahead and included chapters down there. If you just hover over that little bar at the bottom there, you're welcome. So back in 1949, a man by the name of Nick Cram invented the plastic worm. Once business started booming, as you could only imagine it would, he relocated to what was considered the heart of bass fishing at the time, down there in Tyler, Texas. Then, as Texans began adjusting and adapting different presentations for the worms, the Texas rig, as we know it, was born. Later on, Bill Dance popularized the technique after it was introduced to him by a fellow angler by the name of Steve Marriott. I'll provide a link to where I found this information in the description below if you'd like to read more about it. So back to the first part of our little ditty. Line. You can really use any kind of line you prefer for this particular setup, which includes and is kind of limited to braid, fluorocarbon, and monofilament. Now if you're punching through real thick and heavy cover, you're going to want the strength that comes with braided fishing line to pull fish up out of their tiny little hiding spots. If the water you're fishing is clear, you might want to throw a little fluorocarbon leader on your main line to add somewhat of a cloak of invisibility. And if you're just getting started, there ain't no shame in the monofilament game, so just tie it on up and send it. And that brings us to weights. The typical weight used for Texas rigs is the worm or bullet style weight. These weights can differ from 1/8 of an ounce all the way up to a full ounce or more, depending on the type of cover you're throwing them into, wind, and depth you're trying to reach. It's a lot to consider, I know. I started out using a 3/16 ounce weight, and you can too. I can assure you it's great for most applications and conditions, so give it a try and then come back and let me know what you think down in the comments. The next point of discussion in this little ditty is hooks. There's really 4 main types of hooks used for the Texas rig, and each of them have their own unique and specific purpose. Those hooks are the heavy-duty flipping hook, the standard straight shank hook, the EWG or extra wide gap, my personal favorite, and the offset worm hook. That's 4. Now with every hook there comes different sizes, or gauges if you will, but that's an entirely different topic we'll get into in another video. Lastly, the bait. And let me tell you something, just about any soft plastic can be rigged Texas style. I'm talking worms, crawls, creatures, flukes, you name it. Now keep in mind the size of the hook may differ to suit the soft plastic you seek to present, but I'll show you a one-size-fits-all kind of approach that's caught me all types of fish all year round, so stick with me here. So you want to see how it's done? Well, let me flip the camera around here and show you real quick like. Alright now y'all, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tie on the Texas rig just for you guys. I'm going to start using this 20-pound test braid in the high-vis yellow so you can see it. And we're going to work from there. Now I'm going to take my 3 16th ounce bullet weight that I was just talking about. I told you this is one of my favorites. And I'm just going to thread it on towards my reel. Alright, so that's going to be threaded on towards the reel. Then I'm going to take my hook of choice, right? So we got our line, right? Our weight, our hook. Now, which I'm going to just tie a quick improved clinch knot for you guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and 1, 2, 3, just a quick knot here, just so you can see it. I can get this thing tied up here. Alright, back through. Now I ain't gonna clip it off, so don't make fun of me, alright? I didn't bring my daggum clippers over here, but that's besides the point. Anyways, so we got our line, our weight. You know what? We got our line, our weight. Our hook and our bait. Just gonna run that up through there like that. So I got one of these Guggen Bandito bugs, but I'm telling y'all, you can use just about any soft plastic you want, and you're gonna hook it, or you're gonna rig it Texas style. Now we talked about this in the weightless rig, which I'll throw a card up there if you're interested in that. It's basically the same thing, just without the bullet style weight. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go straight in the tip of the bait, all the way to the bend in the hook. Then we're going to poke it right out, just like that. Follow all the way up to the bend, then we're going to flip it where it jumps over that little curve. Alright, now we've got it covering the eyelet of our hook and the rest of our knot, if that were trimmed, if you can imagine. Then we're going to take this bait. What I like to do is I like to pinch where the end of the hook is. That way I can bend it and I can know where I'm going to insert the point of my hook. Now I like to go all the way through, just like that, and then I like to bury it back into the bait, and it's going to sit just like that. Now that's a pretty looking presentation right there. So what you've got is you've got a weedless presentation. It's not going to get hung up or snagged up or anything, and we've got a weight that's going to help it bounce and drop along the bottom. So that's a great presentation of the Texas rig. So now that we're all rigged up and ready to go, how do we fish the Texas rig? Well, you're in luck, because most people won't tell you these things, but I sure as heck will. There's really 3 main ways you can present a Texas rig, but I highly recommend experimenting with each method and perhaps combining the retrieves to show the fish a little something different, because variety is the spice of life. Or so they say. I don't know. The first retrieve is a swimming retrieve. This is done when you're trying to mimic a bait fish with swim baits or scurry crawdads along the bottom. Adding twitches, starts and stops, or little shimmies with your rod tip while you retrieve might just entice a fish to strike, so give it a try. Like all of it. Like everything I just said there. Until you find what it is they like. Next is fishing on a drop. Now this includes dropping down dock pilings, or areas where you think bass might be suspended, or pitching it directly into a thick brush pile. Whatever the case may be, drop it like it's hot, like straight up and down. Lastly, and probably what I've noticed is most effective, is dragging and bouncing it along the bottom. In this technique, you really want to imagine your worm slithering across the bottom, through, over, and around different types of structure. and making that bait look as realistic as possible. With the bounce, you're imitating a worm or crawfish feeding on the bottom, then scurrying away in an instant. In that case, add a quick reel and pause, and watch the magic happen. All in all, this is an excellent rig for bass fishermen from novices like us to experienced anglers to utilize year-round in any climb or place. Seriously. If you have any questions about what we just discussed, please let me know in the comments. If you think we did a good job presenting the information in this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Or 2. I don't think you can give 2, but 1 thumbs up, we'd really appreciate it if you did that. That all being said, I'm A.D. Ross with Novi Outdoors. It's been a pleasure having you here today, as it always is. Stick around and check out some of these other videos we got going on out here. But in the end, take care and God bless, because Novi is out.